Right
Welcome
on.
everybody. Jocker Room. We got the itch for you today,
It sounds so good.
and
Ugh.
we got the itch for the sitch. Know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, I know what
And
you're talking about. I'm wearing it.
you
It's
know,
all on me.
I feel like this podcast slash show has been mainly business. Like we get started. Sometimes we have a little conversation in the beginning. Sometimes we just jump right into it and get going.
Sometimes we go off tangent and talk about nothing related to whatever we're talking about, but I
And
understand.
that I don't mind because it's like I want
Sure.
people to get to know us as well.
Us. Right. Right.
But I was listening to St. Patrick's Day is coming up,
Right.
and
It's
I
my
was
mother's
listening.
it's my mother's birthday that
Oh,
day, St.
nice,
Patty's Day.
nice. My
Yep.
birthday is in 2 weeks from today.
Yep. And then 6 months after that.
um, I was listening to a show today talk about the because St. Patrick's Day, everybody wears green.
Sure.
Ireland, that
Ireland.
side.
Irish accent.
And so they listed the best greens. They did a draft of the best greens in sports. So they were very vague about it. Like it could be somebody with the last name Green, it could be
Okay.
anything to do with the color green. So they
Sure.
started out pretty good, and then they ended up just like the last draft. They did 10 picks, and the last pick was the Boston Celtics stadium or arena where they play.
Sure.
And I was like, so the reason I bring this up, I think it would be fun for us to do a couple if we wanted.
Sure. I
But
got one off the top of my head here.
okay, sweet. What is
That's
it?
um the Gerald Green
Cupcake
birthday
dunk?
cupcake dunk.
That was one of the first things that came to my mind as well. I was like, you know what? It's a national show and that's Timberwolves, so they're not going to say that.
Right.
Um, but they went through the whole 10 picks without Mean Joe Green.
Okay.
They went the whole 10 picks without the Danny Green, we are who they thought they were.
Okay.
They went through the whole thing without Amon Green, but they mentioned multiple other athletes named like Sean Green.
Green Bay Packers would be probably up there because you
Green
can't
Bay
have the Green
Packers.
Bay Packers without green.
We're
It's just the
Vikings fans, and it's like
yeah.
I was like, "Are you guys stupid?" They went through
Yeah.
the whole. They went the 10 best greens. Two
Sure.
different. One person said the Augusta greens. I was like, you know what? I would have said the 12th green at Augusta. That 100%. Later in the
Sure.
draft, somebody goes specifically the 12th green at Augusta, and I was like,
Sure.
you went two picks on the same thing over Mean Joe Green, specifically the Mean
Sure.
Joe Green Coke commercial.
Right.
I was like, you guys are national sports media. The first overall pick was the movie The Big Green. It's like that kids movie. It's like a kids
Sure.
soccer movie, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I I was like the Big Green Monster should be on there, which it was. That was
Sure.
like the second pick.
Sure.
I was like trying to think of multiple sports. So I was like, the golf green in Augusta is one of the, I think it's the most photographed sporting venue.
Sure.
So it's like I had to think of that. And then I thought of the big green monster with baseball. And then with football, it's like you got AJ Green, Amon Green, Danny
Right.
Green,
Right.
and none of them went after any of those
Sure.
greens. And I was like, Green Bay Packers. It doesn't like it could
Yeah.
be
Right.
Chad Greenway for us. Like
Right.
I couldn't believe how stupid their picks were. I understand they're on the spot, they're on national TV or radio,
Right.
so the spotlight can
Yeah, it'd be
sometimes.
nice to have a little bit of prep for it. But the first two things that came to my mind were Gerald Green's dunk
Right.
and then the Green Bay Packers, just
At one
because they
point, I
can't
was
beat.
like, specifically Midwest, like if we thought of, just like Minnesota, and I was like Gerald Green's cupcake dunk,
Right.
Amon Green and the Green Bay
Denny Green.
Packers, Danny Green. And I
Right.
was like, that's just Minnesota, Wisconsin area.
Chad Greenway probably would be on
Right.
there. Right.
And yet they didn't think of anything like that. And then I was like, nationally, you got all these other ones. So like I think my first overall pick would probably either be the Augusta Green or the
Sure.
Big Green Monster.
Right. Yeah. The
But
Green
then
Monster.
Danny Green's We Are Who They Thought They Were or the
Yeah.
Mean
Right.
Joe Green commercial kind of have
Sure.
built different
Right. I get that.
generations of fans.
Right.
I just I could I and then me watching Almond Green just destroy us all the
Over
time.
and over. Yeah.
Yeah. AJ Green pick him as like the biggest fall off in sports history.
yeah. Right. Man. Yeah, he was a killer for the Bengals, but then yeah, anytime just he fell off a cliff.
He
So
did. Even his
yeah,
last year at the Bengals, every year after that.
right. Yeah,
So yeah, I wanted to bring that up. St. Patty's Day is coming up. I wanted to hear what other people have to say. Maybe they have stuff for their specific
sure.
teams or their
Right.
specific area. But for me, the fact that multiple national things to me are like shape shifting, fan creating events
Right.
or people over the
Yeah, and
top.
just on kind of
The
our
Green
topic
Mile,
today.
one of
Yeah,
the
it's
best movies.
kind of the just the topic for today too. I'm taking Jonathan Greenard or Grenard
I was gonna
today
say
too.
that leads us
So
right into what we want to talk about
right.
today,
Yeah.
which is Vikings free agency recap, which the big name that people are talking about is Grinard.
Yeah.
Grenard.
Grenard. Jonathan
Renard.
Grenard, yeah. So Grenard. It's got green in
Yes.
it. Greenard. So
So yeah, anyway, we're Vikings fans. We're gonna talk mainly about the Vikings. We'll probably also talk, Kirk Cousins to the Falcons
yeah, I was gonna say
because
let's talk about those big losses right away.
yeah.
Let's talk about Daniil. Let's talk about Kirk.
Okay. Most people are probably here to hear about Kirk, especially if they
Kirk.
watched our top quarterbacks list.
Right.
They want to see what we have to say about Kirk.
He now dropped 2 ranks because he's a Falcon now. So
Drop him down to that Kenny Pickett tier, or not Kenny Pickett,
right.
Desmond
Desmond
Ritter
Ritter.
tier.
Yep. Because they traded Desmond Ritter too. So
I will be just 100% honest. The Falcons are, I think, first in their division next year.
oh yeah. I
There's
think
I
they can still compete, or they're still going to be competing with
Bucks.
the Bucks, because the Bucks didn't really lose all that much. You know what
Right.
I mean?
The
Like they
only
still
thing the
got Mike
Bucks have
Evans,
against them is their best players are starting to age.
right? Except Antoine Winfield too.
Right.
So like key pieces on that defense are still there. So I mean, it's gonna be those two. I don't think unless the Saints just miraculously do something. I don't. Then the Panthers are
If the
the
Bucks
Panthers.
nail
So
their draft, they could beat the Falcons.
sure, sure, yeah, I think so too. So yeah, I think the Falcons saying that like, oh, we want to move on from Matt Ryan because he's old, he's 36, and he's aging, he's falling off, and then they just throw 180 million dollars at Kirk, who's 36, coming off an Achilles injury. I do think Kirk at this point is a lot better than Matt Ryan was at that point, but yeah, they kind of contradict themselves, and I think they're going to be really good though because they've done a lot of things to give Kirk some more weapons,
Yeah,
stuff like
including
that.
today,
So.
they traded for wide receiver. Can't think of his
They
name.
they signed Darnell Mooney. I know they signed
That's what it
him.
was. Signed Darnell
Yeah.
Mooney. I swore they
Which
traded for somebody, but that was
yeah, I
yeah.
think they did too. I don't think Darnell Mooney's really a mover all that much, but I mean,
The
he was
one
also a
good
bear.
counter I've
So
seen is like, yeah, Kirk also had Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and they were started out 0-3.
right,
He's also learning a new system. He's like, there might be growing pains. I think Kirk is very smart and very good, so he's
sure,
probably going to take them far right away. I think the Falcons need to remember that Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson do exist. They started to figure
right,
it out at the end, but
sure.
Kirk should be very happy with the team he has around
You
him.
can't. The one thing that I'm curious to see is there's a lot of times where Kirk just put his faith in Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson would come down with the catch because he's the best wide receiver in football. And I don't think he has that same, F it, JJ's down there somewhere because Drake London is not Justin Jefferson.
He's going to have to
So,
build that with him, though. I think
yeah,
so. Big elephant in the room. The Falcons are already under tampering investigation because of what Kirk said in his introductory to the team. He meant his
right,
press conference. He mentioned that he had been working with the team's doctors already,
right.
which
The meeting, even
yeah,
though,
and that he had actually been talking to Kyle Pitts already for weeks.
right,
So with that, like honestly, I don't care. Every team
right,
tampers. The only thing Kirk did wrong was he talked about it. Like if
right,
you don't talk about it, they probably aren't investigated or the
right,
investigation doesn't go anywhere.
sure,
But just because Kirk said something, they might lose that eighth pick just
right,
purely because Kirk said something.
right,
Um, which would
So
suck for
so
them.
he's still helping us out. See that? He's still
He I don't think the Falcons, I don't care if teams tamper. No, Kirk wanted to
sure.
go to the Falcons. It didn't sound like he really wanted to stay with the Vikings. The
Right.
Falcons really wanted him. We knew that was going to happen for so long. Who cares? Like we all expected it. Why should
Right.
we punish them for something like that? So same with the other, who's the other team? Eagles or something that's investing.
Eagles, yeah. Eagles with Saquon.
Who cares?
Right.
Who cares? There's
Yeah.
like if you asked players like the NFL draft, all the people that are at there, all the reporters, all the coaches say they talk to other coaches about their players.
Sure.
Is that
Yeah.
not illegal? Should we take away every first round pick because
Yeah.
everybody's tampering? It's
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the deal is because I know that Monday once free agency starts, that's the like tampering window. Obviously, like
right.
we extended the deals till Wednesday.
Yeah.
Kind of like with Davenport and Daniil and Kirk, they extended it to Wednesday, which is legal. Um, and I know they have rules in place. I don't know how strict necessarily the NFL is on them, but you can just talk to people. You can't like sit down and have a meeting and talk about, you know, this and that and stuff like that. So,
It's very
um,
much like Jim Harbaugh this year with the sign stealing in college football.
right,
Everybody mentioned that they steal signs. It's just they were stealing them the best, so the other
right,
teams were upset about it.
sure,
Everybody does
yeah,
it.
right.
It doesn't necessarily make it right, but if you're gonna punish one person for doing it, you kind of
I
gotta
think,
punish everyone.
yeah, yeah, and I think, I think a first round pick is harsh, in that
It
regards.
is.
And if you do want to, you know, kind of make it known or make a punishment out of them. I think the equivalent to what a compensatory
Yeah,
value would be for the Falcons. So
third.
a third onward, whatever you decide. I think
Yeah,
that would be the a fair punishment, I guess, for the tampering.
yeah.
So
I think so. I don't think they need to lose any, but if you're gonna take a pick away from them, it should be the third or fourth round pick.
sure,
It doesn't need to
yeah,
be a first.
sure,
Um, my initial reaction to the trade, though, or to the Kirk signing, I was quite upset
sure,
because I think the Vikings are currently 24th in odds for Super Bowl. So they think the
sure,
Vikings will be the eighth or ninth worst team in football. And I
sure,
kind of feel that same way. I don't think the Vikings are going to be very good without a good quarterback. I don't care who they draft. If it's JJ McCarthy, it's probably even worse than that. I'm just not a fan.
sure,
Um, and I was also very upset because so Kirk said the exact same thing about 4 months ago. His exact words about the Vikings was his press conference for the Falcons. Verbatim, I want to earn my right to retire a Viking. I want to
yeah,
retire a Falcon. I want to earn my right
yeah,
to retire a Falcon. They
sure,
repeats the same thing. So to me, he just says what everybody wants to hear, and his true goals is make as much money as possible. I'm
right,
not going to fault him for that,
right,
but you're also like to me he's just as phony as somebody like Russell Wilson because
sure,
you're trying to portray the best image possible when really just tell us the truth,
right.
just be who
Yeah.
you are.
No,
Like yeah,
yeah.
I would have respected him so much more if he said, well, I really liked the vision that both teams were providing, but the Falcons offered more and they offered me what I thought I was what I'm worth.
Sure.
Boom,
Right.
instant more respect, but
Yeah.
instead just some BS.
Right. Yeah. No, I think if you look at it from Kirk's standpoint and from the fan standpoint, if you look at our roster and the pieces we've brought in so far, you know, heavily on the defense, like we had three starting linebackers in the first 2 hours of free agency
Well, and like I know those
on the
pieces fit because I watched them fall away.
right. Right. Yeah, okay. And so like with all the pieces that have happened and what we've done in free agency so far, you know, Grenard, Van Ginkel, Cashman, Aaron Jones, another big one.
Romo,
Um, what?
Romo,
John Parker Romo, right. This it can't be any worse than freaking Greg Joseph.
never
Anyway,
kicked in a game. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Still, it can't be worse. No, you think about Kirk Cousins on that roster, and look at the roster, like you look at the Vikings roster, and you look at the Falcons roster with Kirk presumably on there at this point, and the Vikings roster is still better. Like and so like if you look at those those two rosters, and then you like the system and the difference apparently maybe like $7 million, but two
Yeah.
extra years. Um, it looks like it is just about the money.
Hmm.
So no, I mean I wish the best of luck to Kirk. I don't really have any malice towards him.
I would agree.
But I do hope the Vikings wipe the floor with him when Atlanta comes to town. So I mean that's I hope the fans aren't sour too. Like
I think the
I hope
fans
they
will be because the fans were 50% of them hated him while he was here anyway. I sent
yeah
you a screenshot of my family's text
yeah
messages. They were all, we were so right about Kirk. Kirk's never been a winner, and like that's how
right
all of Twitter and stuff was. Like,
right
I'm the same way. I hope Kirk does well. I hope the Falcons do well. I hope the Vikings do well without him.
right yeah
Um, Kirk's near his wife's family now, so he can be happy there. Like, I do think he came off a little phony, but I do also wish him nothing but the best.
right
He did what he thought was best as a business decision and as a football decision. We'll see what if it pays off.
right
Um, I do love hearing people's takes on Kirk Cousins just because he's the most polarizing person in football for some reason.
yeah yeah
So if people want to
it's
let us know what they think, good
pretty
pick.
decided yeah
Um, Dan Patrick, one of the biggest names in broadcasting, ran a poll. What was the better move? Letting Kirk Cousins walk or the Falcons signing Kirk Cousins? And like 64% voted the Falcons signing Kirk Cousins. So educated audience agreed that, Kirk's not a bad quarterback. I mean, Dan Patrick straight up said Kirk Cousins is a top 10, probably top 8 quarterback when
right
healthy. And I was like, he knows.
yeah it's probably right along where we had him. So
Yeah, we had him. I think we
top
ranked him at
fourth yeah
5.
yeah oh yeah sure 4 or 5 yeah
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
so
we had him at exactly. He was number 5 out of the top
sure
5,
sure
and I think he's somewhere in that 5 to 10
yeah
when healthy.
right
Um, the one thing, so don't need to say too much on Kirk again. We straight up said it. We hope he's successful. We hope the Vikings are successful. We'll talk more about the Vikings. We'll move on from Kirk. News that hadn't been spoken about anywhere else because that's the great thing about local media. Is sometimes you get sources and stories that national media doesn't get. One of the guys that works with the team who happens to be on local radio. For those who want to look it up, so if they want to verify our sources, 100.3 KFAN, Chris Hockey. He flies with the team after every away game, and at the last game with Kirk Cousins, he was walking with Kirk, walking behind Kirk, and he said Kirk was he had slipped, and so he was walking like really hobbled because it hurt him, like hurt his
right
Achilles, and he mentioned he was just talking to Kirk like, hey, like he basically said it as like a foregone conclusion, like we'll see you next year, like we're gonna get this going again. And Kirk seemed like super disappointed. And he's like, we will see about that. And like Kirk or Chris was really surprised because he thought it was just like a lock, like he's gonna be coming back. Like, oh, we
sure
saw what the team was like without you, so obviously they're gonna sign you.
right
And Kirk was apparently seemed very disappointed, but even then last week he was like, "Oh, I mean, maybe we'll see about that."
sure
No, obviously no national media is talking about that, but like he at least then it kind of gives you a hint like he didn't necessarily want to leave right away, but I think as time went on,
right
he became
and
more closure, like he got more closure about it and
you're in
decided.
the they're in talks with like their agents and throughout the whole process, like even from when they could have gotten an extension done last year to this point now, and it basically like, and I think Dan Patrick even said something in that little clip where it's like the Vikings drew a line in the sand, and we're like, this is what we're comfortable with. And even Kwesi mentioned that in the interview. He's like, there's an uncomfortable middle area. we're like what we want, what he wants, and we try to find that balance in the middle, and we
Yeah.
just didn't find that balance. And so, no, I
According
think,
to a source within the organization, KOC and well, mainly Kwesi was not willing to give Kirk more than 2 years.
yeah, I think
He
they
was
had
willing to
what I
put three
read was,
years, but not guarantee pat. He didn't even want to guarantee past 1 year.
yeah, so it was like I think what a lot of like the one thing I've seen is like he had a 2 year 76 on the table, which would have been roughly 38 million per year. So, I mean, it's kind of close to the Falcons
Which
number
the
of
Falcons only
45.
guaranteed 2 years. Like his
Right.
deal's only 2 years, and then they can cut him pretty cheap after 2 years.
Sure.
The Vikings only wanted to do it 1 year.
Right.
There's the big
So,
difference.
right. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. It's past, but now you're looking at next year where the Vikings have up to like 130, 140 million in cap room, and I think it's a lot of people want to kind of bash Kwesi for what he's done so far, but what he had to do first was get rid of Spielman's cap problem,
Right, the
and
mess that was left.
he's done that, and we've got possibly 140 million dollars
But
in
he has to
cap
make
room.
it through this season in order to use that hundred
Yeah.
and some, or he's leaving that
Yeah.
for the next GM.
Yeah. I think he's got I don't really think there's any discourse in regard of
I
like
think if they draft a QB and he fails, Quasi's
right,
gone.
but the quarterback's not gonna play much,
Right.
unless
Well,
barring
see,
any
but that's the thing. Like,
circumstances.
and then if they also run it with Sam Darnold and it doesn't go well, I still think he's gone.
I think everyone knows that Sam Darnold is like a bridge quarterback, including the owners. So
We'll
I think
see.
he's got a couple years. I
I
mean,
think
I
he
don't think
should get a
he's
couple years. I
yeah,
think I'm always been you see out if you get hire a GM for 5 years, they need that whole 5 years. You didn't sign him that contract to turn it around in 1 year and then coast for four. Like you signed
sure.
Kwesi for 5 years to see if he could turn their team around in 5 years.
Right.
So he's got this year and next year on his contract, right?
And one more. He's got three. He's had
So
two
yeah,
years with
so he
Kirk.
technically you need to see even if the Vikings go 0-17 and don't draft a quarterback, you need to see what his plan is for that after the years after that.
Remainder. Right.
So
No, yeah,
jumping
that's what I'm
into
saying.
even if,
So like
even
this year
though
being the Sam Darnold will be year three. So
right,
you get a rookie quarterback. You hope that rookie quarterback is ready so that you can evaluate him for the final 2 years of that 5 years, if that's what you want to say.
please God be
And
Michael Penny.
that has to lead you into the direction you want. And the owners have to be happy with that direction from this year, which very like probably not going to be good. Like we understand that, but now you've got these free agents that he signed now so that you don't have to worry about those holes in the future. And it just I don't know. I think he's on a good path, but this is going to be a rough year for Vikings fans.
Yep.
But like you hope that it's the 1 year where you're not that competitive and
But they're
it's
signing all these free agents, like the multiple 1 year deals is like Aaron Jones for 1 year means you're still trying to be competitive.
right, right. I mean, but I think Aaron Jones and Sam Darnold is like they're like the pieces where like they're like a prove it piece. So like if they do well, you can give them another extension for whatever.
So to make sure
Um
you go 7-10 and pick at pick 15.
yeah. Well, I don't think they'll go. I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm not I'm pro Quasi and KOC. So like I'm behind them and the decisions they make, and I try to see it from their perspective, even though they're a
Yep.
lot smarter and a lot more knowledgeable than I am. So like I
I'm
see this
pro
year.
KOC. I'm pro KOC.
Sure,
I am out on Quay, like not like out. The jury's still out on Quasi for me
sure,
because when you look at just his draft picks alone, I'm not giving him Addison because there is a direct source from the scout room that reported to the guys on the radio that stated, like, we have it confirmed. Quasi did not want Jordan Addison. KOC had to force him to draft, otherwise they were going to trade back. So I'm not giving him Jordan Addison. So he has Ed Ingram as like a half hit. That's all he's got.
Ivan Pace.
That's an undrafted free agent, yeah.
He still went after him. He still was
But
like
was
that was
that
the
his
first.
idea?
You don't know, but
We
you got
don't
to. I
know.
mean, top down, you got to give him some credit
I gotta give
on
him
his
something there, but that's
failures
about
and his
it.
successes.
Right.
So I
But
mean,
everything else, like where you're supposed to hit, like he was supposed to hit on Addison and he wasn't going to. He's supposed to hit
uh,
on these first and second round picks
well,
and he
scene you could also say it was like an Ed Donat. You could say it was Ed Donatel that was like
right.
pushing for that. So because
It's
you want
just
that
hard.
shell defense, and you
I
want to
think
take.
he's doing fine, but I'm not gonna say he's doing a good job. I'm also not gonna say he's doing a bad job.
I think there's different parts of it. So like from like a drafting standpoint, yes, he's had some ups and some downs. People want to kind of bash on Ed Ingram, but Ed Ingram turned it
Ed Ingram's
around, and
fine.
right. I think Bradbury's still that weak link
Yep.
of the line. And so Addison or Pace or Mekhi Blackman was promising too. So like, you've got some of these pieces where he's hit, you've got some where he doesn't hit, but also from like a team and cap standpoint, I think he's taken the cap woes that he's had and he's cleared all that out
Yeah.
in 2.5 years because I mean still the dead money with the Neal and Davenport and Kirk or whatever. And now you're looking at a completely free checkbook, I guess, from the Vikings cap standpoint. And he gave credit to Rob Brzezinski too, who's a freaking wizard when it comes to cap stuff. So I think from that standpoint, he's done really well.
Yep.
So,
I still
and
think next
still,
year is my thing, but that's kind of been Kwesi's MO so far is wait till you see what he does next year, which is why I think people are gonna get short with him quick
oh yeah, I
because
think a
they're
lot of
getting
people are going to get
impatient.
short with him quick. Sure.
But patience is what will lead you to success. So again, I don't want Kwesi gone. I think it's too early to say he would like I wouldn't give him an extension right now, but
No, I wouldn't either.
I would not fire him.
Right.
Um, if it were me, I would trade down with our pick because I know that
Sure.
that's Vikings fans' least favorite thing to hear in the world.
Right.
But I want a defensive player at that pick, or I want trade down because apparently Michael Penix will be available. Michael Penix, and then draft this huge like draft class of really talented players. You have so much. Load up on good talent, and then next year you have all this money. Sign like extend Justin Jefferson, extend the guys that
Darisaw.
stand out on defense, extend Darisaw,
Right.
boom, and then you can move forward with the team. But if you trade up these assets for a quarterback, especially if it's a guy like JJ McCarthy, I understand I might be completely wrong about him, but to me, trading up for JJ McCarthy means you got sold on something you other people were telling you to buy because if he's really about like which player is supposed to give us the most success and all that, nothing in JJ McCarthy's numbers, analytics, anything would tell you that he's the guy that's going to turn your franchise
Right.
around.
Yeah, you got to bring. I mean, you got to bring all these guys in. You know what I mean? Like you got to bring all them in, and you got to have them. You walk them kind of through your system and see if they are the right fit for it.
Just like Bo Nix isn't the best quarterback in the draft, but Bo Nix is good in KOC system.
Sure.
I just think if you put Michael Penix in this roster, you have immediate success. You don't even have
Yeah.
to have him sit behind Darnold, but sitting behind Darnold just means even more
And yeah,
for
you
him.
also have to account for Josh McCown too, being quarterbacks coach.
Yep.
Like that's also a huge thing, and KOC also being a former quarterback himself. So I think that's the plan is to get a rookie QB. The writing's on the wall,
Yep.
whether it's May or it's. I mean, I think it's either going to be May. I think it's going to be McCarthy, or I think it's going to be Penix. I think it's going to be
It's
one of those
gonna
three
be
guys.
May.
It's going to be one of those three guys. It doesn't look like they had really any interest in Bo Nix. Um,
No. No, they don't.
they sent maybe a scout or two there, but none of the big three were there. So one of those three guys, I think it's going to be May, McCarthy, or Penix, and we are burning through none of the Vikings free agents.
Nope.
But
When we kept going on Kirk, I was like, we're not gonna have time.
sure,
Um,
um,
but I don't know. I think they're probably gonna draft quarterback. I'm gonna hate it
but
because it's not gonna be the quarterback I want. It's not gonna be Penix because if they trade up
you'd
again,
be fine with May too, though. You said Like
I'd be fine with May. He's just at this point,
the rawest.
yeah, yep, which it's fine. So you have May sit behind Darnold. That's great.
True.
Um, I think if you're gonna, with how much it would take for what the position they're trying to trade up for, the amount that you have to give up, I don't think multiple like outside of like Jaden Daniels,
Sure.
if you're trading up to draft JJ McCarthy at like 6, if you're trading up to draft Drake May at 4, Drake
Sure.
May next year, the year after when Darnold's gone, is going to have no one around him anyway.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have nobody to draft, and all that you're going to hope that all that free agency money you can build your team in free agency, which is going to be rough.
Yeah.
So I think they've dug themselves a hole here, and they didn't lose enough games, and they've traded away too many assets already to actually have what's needed. It's they put in such a bad situation when Michael Penix could fall right to them without having to move
Sure.
and still be good.
Sure.
I know I'm biased because I love Penix. We have tweets from me from
Right.
2019
Yeah.
talking about Michael Penix. Like
Right.
I get it,
Right.
but JJ McCarthy's just not it. He's just not it, man. He's he's 5-star quarterback, but if he was as good as they wanted, like as they thought, as they say he is, he would have gotten one opportunity. Like I get it, he's not going to get every opportunity, but you would have given him one. He
Right.
wasn't given one
Yeah.
opportunity. He was given opportunities against bad teams, but like in the big games, in the big moments, it was up to the defense and the running backs.
Yeah.
You would have
Yeah,
given
we'll
him
we'll
one.
we'll we'll see. I think whoever they decide on is like you gotta trust that that's their guy. So
Yeah, I'm gonna
uh,
trust it, but probably not gonna like it. If it's JJ
sure,
McCarthy, I'm gonna have to like smile through like this is great. I love this.
sure,
But am I buying a JJ McCarthy jersey? Never. No. He's in my eyes, that's Ponder 2.0. Some that we got desperate for a quarterback. We got talked into one, and we're gonna trade up for him, and then we're gonna draft the wrong guy because everybody talked him into it. And it'll be Ponder 2.0. It's gonna be great. And then we got to go through, wait until the next good free agent comes out and hope we can grab him. A vet who's
sure.
like 30 something. Oh, I'm not excited for it at all. But everything else we've done in free agency, Cashman, love it. Huge
Yeah,
value. Bullard resigning, great. Good pick
yeah.
or good signing.
Backup D end. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Grenard,
Quesenberry. I got it.
Quesenberry.
Yeah, yeah. Backup tackle Quesenberry. Ezra Cleveland, probably your starting left guard. I know people liked Reisner, but they basically got Brandell for what Reisner would cost for 1 year.
They brought Cleveland back.
Blake Brandell. Did I say Cleveland?
Yeah.
My bad. Blake Brandell.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, what the hell?
Blake Brandell for 3 years.
Yeah.
Basically would have been what Reisner would have gotten for 1 year. So putting their Blake Brandell's good. I
The
mean,
same
he's
starting
had
five,
success.
except Brandell for Reisner is probably going to be the starting.
Right.
Wesenberry will be that guy that floats around, but it's
Yep,
going to
he's kind of
be
versatile.
Darisaw, Brandell, Bradbury, Ingram,
Ingram, O'Neal.
O'Neal.
Right.
I almost said Khalil.
Obviously Darnold, your bridge guy, he's going to start. It's the best roster he's
Then
been on from an offensive
it'll be
standpoint.
Aaron Jones,
So
Ty Chandler, and a rookie.
right, yeah, and they
Justin
got Dwayne
Jefferson,
Dwayne
Jordan
McBride.
Addison,
Right,
TJ Hawkinson,
right,
rookie, Brandon Powell.
yeah. So two starting outside linebackers. You got Jonathan Grenard and Van Ginkel.
Yep.
So they're both outside guys. Van Ginkel
At
has
good
played.
value. Like
Right,
not just
yeah.
good players, but good value.
Yeah, Grenard got like 18 mil, I think, and then Van Ginkel was 10 mil, and Cashman was like up like 8.5.
My
So,
favorite player on the team for the past decade restructured. Harrison
right,
Smith's coming back.
freed up 10 mil
Yep.
himself. So,
So the
obviously just
only thing that
pros
Vikings are
pro.
truly missing to draft would be
Interior defensive line, a corner. You can't go wrong with a corner. Byron Murphy, obviously, when healthy, can be a cornerback one. He played really well. Mekhi Blackman still deciding
Raw.
what raw, still
I do
raw,
like Ward,
but
the safety, but he's
had
also
promise.
raw.
Right. So Mekhi Blackman, Caleb Evans did okay at some points, but he also got blasted in some points. Andrew Booth is okay at some points, but
Yeah.
he got blasted during some points. So hopefully those three guys can figure it out. But I think
So interior
definitely,
D line,
yeah, because you got
corner,
Harrison Phillips and a DN somewhere,
and
hopefully.
Bullard is gonna
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So it's I would so interior D line, corner, maybe another
All
linebacker.
your
That's lower down.
starting linebackers are set. I mean, it's
Right.
Bernard, Cashman, Pace, and Van Ginkel.
A
Like it's
mid-round or late-round linebacker to learn behind those guys would be solid.
sure.
And
Yeah.
then
And then
quarterback.
yeah. Yeah.
Those
Center, maybe.
yeah.
You should bring in some center
If
competition.
you were to create a team needs list, that would be your five. They always do like five on the draft.
Sure.
It'd
Yeah.
be corner, D line,
Quarterback,
quarterback, center, and
maybe D end.
linebacker or D
Yeah.
end, edge.
Yeah. Edge. Yeah.
Like that would
So
probably be the Vikings five.
sure.
Are there a ton of those players available? Yes. Are the Vikings going to trade up all of their picks to get the one position and then miss out on most of those positions? Most likely. But
Yeah.
we'll have to be okay with it because they don't really have a choice. Like
Yeah.
this is kind of just the position the team's in. It's exciting. Like it's extremely exciting.
Yeah.
It's also extremely nerve-wracking.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna say there's a positive and negative to it.
Because they could hit. I could be so wrong. JJ McCarthy could be like 20-year quarterback, play until he's 43, 42.
Yeah.
Just
The positives to Drake May and JJ McCarthy is they're the youngest quarterbacks. They're 21. They might still be 21 when the league starts. I believe Penix will be 23 when the year starts. I
I
don't
believe he's
think
already 24.
yeah, I think Bo Nix was 24 and he was the oldest. So McCarthy or Penix could be 24 by the time
Yeah.
the season starts. So yeah, so I
But the
mean
biggest
age
positive about
wise,
Penix,
he's got the best arm talent out of
piss missile
everybody.
and throws people open.
Piss missiles, dude.
He's got like he's the most preemptive thrower in the draft,
Right.
which means Justin F. Jefferson gets put in the least amount of problems. Justin Jefferson gets hit on the most deep routes, and Jordan Addison gets hit on the deep routes.
Jordan Addison can just run straight.
Yeah. JJ McCarthy is going to be it's like the Niners offense. It's about the
Yeah.
players getting yak, and if they don't get yak, everybody's gonna say, is the quarterback really that good or no?
Yeah.
Like that's what it's gonna be arguing. Like JJ McCarthy will be the Brock Purdy discussion. Well, he's
Yeah.
putting up numbers, but he also has Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ
Sure.
Hawkinson and Aaron Jones
I think
running.
the positives to the Vikings roster, the way the offense is constructed right now, there's not a glaring need besides quarterback. So
An average QB, Sam Darnold could take this team far.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so like having a rookie and hopefully you can mold that rookie to be the guy you want, but he is set up for success with the pieces around him. So I just hope that they get the one they want, and I hope that they are 100% sure that this guy in a year or two can lead them to where they want to go, and that will be success. We'll have success.
I think they will be. I trust them.
Right.
Let us know what you think about Quasi, KOC, everyone, Kirk. Yeah, let us know in the comments, everything. Make sure to like and follow. We appreciate you guys coming by and hope you had fun.
Yes.
Bring you the itch
Yes.
next week.
Hell yeah.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. Have no regrets, yeah, I'm tired of my chest.